Okay, so I'm just going to continue from last video. Uh, so the Bible, Genesis. So I'm going to continue from after Eden, which is, I couldn't find the land of Shinar, but I think I found the land of Canaan. So after Noah's flood, they go to Shinar, according to the Bible. And then after Shinar, they go to the land of Canaan, which is the promised land. So just a review from previous video. I think the Amazon is Eden, somewhere around like Venezuela, maybe that region. The tree of knowledge and good and evil is probably like a hallucinogenic near that region. Uh, the Amorite tribes. So I'll go over that right now. The Waka Weka. So anything resembling to that phonetic sound. Waka, Weka, Ko, Nyoka, Kan, Wak. So anything of that phonetic sound, in my opinion, I think it means serpent. And for Amma, Amohamu. So Amma is like the god for some of the tribes in the Amazon region. Amohamu is the word for God for the ancient Soic, which is like the Indonesian region. They call their god Amohamu. Amma and Uma is God, and Brahma for India. So then there's Ara. I think it means macaw, or like a bird, or like mountain maybe. So all these tribes, like in northern Chihuahua, there's Tarahumara. I go over this in my last video. They live like in mountain regions, but I don't know, maybe it means bird, macaw. So according to the Bible, Noah's Ark lands on the mountains of Ararat. In Genesis 9:20, it says Noah plants a vineyard. So it kind of resembles Amazon region. There's a lot of vines. So the Ara, so there's the Arawak tribe, the Warao. I don't know if I'm saying that correctly. A Warao tribe, and that's like in the region of Venezuela. I want to say that's like the origins of the Aramaic. So once the comet or the asteroid lands in South America, like all these tribes dispersed on the world, and I think they landed in like where Aramaic, where they spoke Aramaic in the Middle East. Um, you can also make like so sorry, so Aram, I think it means mountains, macaw, or maybe Adam. So if you add an M at the end, it means Adam, possibly. Aramaic origin. So the 12 tribes of Israel, some of them are Ammonites, Amorites, Canaanites, and Aramaic, etc. I think the Canaanites were along the Peruvian coast. I think anything Ara and Ammon was deeper in the Amazon. Population wise, so something that people don't find, like they can't seem to find the answer to this problem, is that there's people in Indonesia that have DNA origins or like similarities to the Amazon. They don't know how they got there, but I think that it went the other way. People from the Amazon went to Indonesia. Easter Island is the same thing. I think so Easter Island is right outside the coast of Chile, I think. And so once the asteroid hit, it kind of like the people who were there on that land, they kind of got stranded in Easter Island. And I think that those structures, they built like statues along the coast because I think they were stranded. I think it was like an SOS signal. They were letting people know like there's people here, come save us. But then over time, they kind of forgot the the importance or the reason they were doing it, and they just made a religion. So the next generation was like, maybe we're supposed to do this. So they just kept adding statues. possibly. So the rainbow serpent. So the Aboriginals of Australia, the creator god for the Aboriginals in Australia, it's called a Waggle, but it's pronounced Huaca, which is really weird because so their story, from what I understand, is that there is a rainbow serpent over from the came down from the sky and it formed the mountains and the rivers. And if you go to Peru, there's a mountain called Rainbow Mountain, which is at the image in the middle, and then the Red River in Peru. So they, according to their stories, they say like weird stuff like you shouldn't drink from the serpent water if it's angry or something weird like that. And I think it's because of this. So there's a river near in Peru that turns red when there's like too many I don't know, iron or something. I don't know why it turns red. But I guess that's their way of saying like don't drink the water when it turns red because it's toxic or something. That's my theory. So I kind of went over this in the last video too. Humbaba. So in the Epic of Gilgamesh, which is like a 4,000-year-old story in Mesopotamia, I think, if I'm not mistaken. Well, it kind of says here. Let me read it. So Humbaba was a monstrous guardian of a cedar forests in the ancient Mesopotamian Epic of Gilgamesh. Yeah. He was a fearsome giant, often described with a lion-like face and a body covered in scales. So, but if you look at it, look at the tablets, that guy looks Hispanic. Like he looks just like this guy. He has the Edgar haircut. So the Edgar haircut is like a bowl haircut basically. And there probably wasn't scales. There were probably like paintings and like drawings, like they draw on their face and stuff. So it kind of fits the Amazon. So it's a mountain man near a forest. So I want to say that's not only that, it looks just like them. The Aboriginals in Australia is the picture on the left. The Olmec heads in Mesoamerica is on the right. So maybe it's not the actual Olmecs, but they probably have the same DNA. So if you put that helmet thing from that Olmec head on the Aboriginal, it's like the same person. So it's probably not the Olmecs, but it's the same lineage or the same ancestor. So the land of Canaan, the promised land for Israel. So the map on the left is a map of Abraham. So I got this from a YouTube video. I think it's year to year or something like that. And he kind of mapped out the map of where the prophet Abraham from the Bible, like where he went. So so in the map it says Shechem, Bethel, and I think Jerusalem's right under Bethel, and then there's Sodom and Gomorrah all the way in the bottom. The issue with that is that I think there's too many inconsistencies with the Middle East. Um, like they just found a little bit of sulfur and a little bit of salt in Sodom and Gomorrah, so nobody really knows. But if you put the map of Peru right on top of this map, like it lines up perfectly, like it's perfect. So I circled in red Uyuni and Atacama, which is in the Peru and Chile region, and like there's no question those are salt flats, like actual salt flat. Not only that, there's like a lot of volcanic activity in that region. So I think that this is the promised land, the Israel, the Israel promised land for the Israelites. So so there's Sechem in the bottom, I mean on top of the map, and I think it's Kiabamba. I'm not sure. I'm not familiar with that region. I'm just kind of like from what I see on the internet. And then there's Jerusalem. I think Jerusalem is Cusco because it says it's in between. on the Bible it says it's in between two. It's in the valley and it's fertile land. So it kind of matches that description. So in Quillabamba, which is north of uh, Cusco, if I'm not mistaken. So there's a black stone. So the so in Islam they go to Mecca. They make pilgrimages to Mecca, and they go like around circles, I guess, and they pray to this rock. It's called a black stone. And according to the tradition, Islamic tradition, it descended from heaven. So it descended from heaven. It was originally white, and I guess it will speak on Judgment Day. So I'm not too familiar with that, but I found the concept that this black rock used to be white is very interesting, and it fell from heaven. So it's probably like a meteorite or something. And at Bamba, in this place called Ñuña Hispana or Yurak Rumi, I don't know what they call it, but apparently it's called the White Rock, and it's basically the same thing, really. So it kind of fits. I feel like there's a connection there. I don't know. I've never been there, so I wouldn't know, but I'm sure there's a connection there. I think Bethel is Machu Picchu. I think that structure was already there. So once no flood happened, I think that Machu Picchu was already there. That structure has been there even pre-flood. I feel like a lot of architecture was already there pre-flood. Because when he goes, so Jacob goes to, he sleeps on a rock, according to the Bible, on a stone, and he has a vision of a stairway, of a ladder to heaven, basically. And I think that's these stairs over here, or something similar. Um, but I've never been there, so I wouldn't know. But kind of fits the description. Sodom and Gomorrah. I think this is like the most, like I'm pretty sure that's it's definitely it. Since so Sodom and Gomorrah were destroyed by sulfur, it rained sulfur and brimstone or something. They made pillars of salt and all this. They made salt flats basically, and nobody can find it over there in the Middle East. But in Uyuni and Atacama, which is I think Bolivia or I don't know Peru or maybe I don't know Bolivia and Chile, there's like clear salt flats. Like there's no question that's a salt flat. That's a picture right there of Uyuni, I think. Um, and then there's Huaca Prieta. I think it's Gehenna. Gehenna. I don't know how to say that from the Bible. So in the Bible, Gehenna mean it was like it was to the southwest in a valley of Jerusalem, if I'm not mistaken. And in this place, they were worshiping false god. It was just like really they associated this place with like hell on earth, and it was just like completely inverted to what how they felt we were supposed to live. So at this place, according to the Bible, there was a lot of child sacrifice to Moloch, to the god Moloch. There was burning rituals, and then it says that later it was used as a refuse dump. So they were just using it as a garbage can, basically. And fires often burned continuously. And then the Bible it gives you. So I use ChatGPT for a lot of this, and these are biblical references to that place. And like I said, like they associated this place with like hell on earth. And in Peru, there's a place southwest to Jerusalem to Cusco, and it's called Huaca Prieta. And it's like really old. It's like 14,000 years old, if I'm not mistaken. And they basically used it for the same thing. So burning, they think it was child sacrifice. there was a lot of like sexual, uh, I don't know. It's just, in fact, it's still called El Brujo, if I'm not mistaken. So this area is called El Brujo, and El Brujo means in Spanish it means the witch. So there's still like an evil connotation to this area. So so the Canaanites and the Phoenicians. So Phoenicians, um, well, okay, so the Greeks said they were descendants of these people. So if you ask the Greeks, they say the Greek culture was descendants of the Phoenicians. And according to Google, Phoenicians means purple or phoenix, which is, and I think this is concrete evidence to be honest. The Egyptians called them the Amu and the Amu. So the Egyptians had a place north of, I think it's northeast of Egypt in the land of Goshen, if I'm not mistaken. And in this place, the Canaanites, there was a lot of tribes. There was 12 tribes apparently who lived in this area. And in this area, so the Egyptians just called a lot of these people the Amu and the Amuru, which kind of confirms like, so Amu, according to me, means God basically. So that tribe, uh, and coincidentally, so the Peruvians they make, so the Peruvians they make like they use like shellfish to make like, because they're on the coast, so they use shellfish if I'm not mistaken, or like mollusk, some sort of sea creature, mollusk. I don't know what the difference is. But they use that for like to make dye, like blue dye, purple dye, and they basically use that for everything. They make purple rice, they have purple corn, they make textiles that's purple. Everything's like purple, and they also have like the coca plant and hallucinogenics. So there's a lot of like cactus that's hallucinogenics, ayahuasca maybe. So they were probably riddled with drugs and purple stuff. So they were probably making purple drugs or something. Um, yeah. So um, I think so. This is just a theory now. So there's a place called Iturralde or Arawana crater. It's right outside of La Paz, Bolivia, on the mountains of La Paz, Bolivia. It's estimated to be 11,000 to 30,000 years old. And if this picture is accurate, I got this from Google. So if this picture is accurate, there's a picture of a white rock there, which is coincidence again. Um, and Plato's depiction of Atlantis. So he says this story and it sunk around 12,000 years ago. So it kind of lines up with this area. Then some fringe theories. So fringe theories that line up. So the emerald tablets, they're probably jade tablets, which is like that region. Maybe it's Maya or I don't know, whatever. The philosopher's stone, which is part of the emerald tablets, is probably just cinnabar, and they use like clay balls. So according to ChatGPT, the Maya would use clay balls soaked in mercury, and then I think it's sulfur, and they make cinnabar. So if you mix sulfur and mercury, you make a vermilion, which is cinnabar, and you it's like a reddish thing. And you can also put gold flakes, and you can just like paint stuff. And once the mercury like melts away, it's just gold plated. So they probably gold plated a lot of stuff. Um, and in Genesis, another thing that lines up is Genesis. So in the Garden of Eden, apparently there was cherubim, which is a type of angel, according to Ezekiel, which is the picture on the right, and it guarded the Garden of Eden with a fire, with a sword of fire of some sort. So according to Ezekiel, this angel had four heads, like of animals. So it had like an ox, well, a horse, maybe. I don't know. I don't know what the exact description is, but they had multiple wings. and multiple heads of animals. Um, and it's the same thing. Like if you want to use the Book of Enoch, it's the same thing as fallen angels and the cherubim. Um, Another thing that lines up is the Lovelock Cave, which is giants in Americas. You guys can look that up. Basically, they just found giants in a cave somewhere in Nevada, I think. And then Edgar Casey. So there's a sidekick called Edgar Casey, and he talked a lot about Atlantis and animal hybrids that were part man, part beast. The Egyptians also believed in zoomorphic gods, so basically just half man, half animals. So look at like a lot of Egyptian art. There's like humans with like animal heads, like a head of a ox or stuff. So it kind of just lines up with everything. They also found alien mummies found in this region. So yeah, I don't know. Let me know in the comments what you guys think.